Hello friends, this is Ved Prakash Singh from IITC. Today we are going to see a very good important topic of incident investigation. So welcome back to IITC channel. I hope you all are doing good. Guys, in this program we are going to see various topics of incident investigations. We will understand what is the meaning of accident/incident investigations. The formal academic definitions we are going to see. What are the types of accident investigations like YY techniques, fishbone techniques, Causation model, RCA. There are different techniques. We will see one of them. We will also see what are the steps of accident investigations, what are the various steps including the site survey and other things. Various tools, various softwares which are being used for incident investigations. We will only tell the name, probably we will not go in the detail. I have different video to help you which software is best and what are the good softwares, what are the bad softwares, and in terms of my experience, which software is required to use the incident investigations as well as a root cause analysis for any equipment failure. Various incident investigation techniques, as we mentioned earlier, types of investigations, yes, and what is meaning of interview, what does interviewer want from an eyewitness, what are the good questions to ask to the victim, how to carry out interviews and eyewitnesses and victims, and how do you do an investigative interview. I hope this is going to use and helpful for you. Let us go for the next slide. Guys, now we are going to see what is the accident investigation. In fact, if you see the formal definition, accident investigation is a process of systematic collection and analysis of information related to any accident or incident which has converted or produced loss of property, time, and loss of health of individual, or there is a injury or loss of lives, or all together. So this is a systematic process to analyze the data, to find out the root cause, what went wrong, what are the responsible causes, what are the direct causes, what are the indirect causes for loss of life, loss of property, injury, health effect, or all of this. Probably in the following slides you will understand clearly what do you mean by incident investigations. As we know that accident investigation is basically a scientific and academic analysis of all the data, of all the facts, what has been collected after the incidents, site securing, and what has gone wrong during the incident, to find out the root causes of an accident in effort to make recommendations or take corrective actions. The ultimate aim is to find out the root cause, is to implement these root causes so that we can stop, we can prevent the reoccurrences of this kind of similar incidents in future. So the ultimate aim, probably there are some slides which will tell you the intention of accident investigation, but for now we can say that accident investigation is to be done to find out the root causes so that we can implement it and we can prevent the reoccurrences of this kind of accident. Guys, if you see, the main objective and purpose of accident investigations are many, you may be knowing it, but to summarize the crystal clear intention and the purpose of accident investigation is to find out the root causes of an event. In this, what has gone wrong, where it has gone wrong, when it has gone wrong, we will see it. And the second is to identify the root causes or contributing factors, why this incident has happened, what are the system failure, we will try to identify in step number 2. Then the next purpose of the incident investigation is to find out the control measures to prevent the reoccurrences of this kind of incidents in future. This may come in the learning phase, and definitely evaluate the questions of guilt in order to assess the liability of compensation, because if there is a partial damage or partial permanent disability, we need to pay the compensation as per the Workmen Compensation Act. So if you see and the reasons to investigate a workplace incident, those are very much similar to the purpose. The main and foremost important reasons is to identify the causes of accident to prevent the similar incidents in future. Second reason is very strong reason. It is one of the legal requirement as per the Factory Act, Indian Factory Act. Likewise, in India, there are many countries where legal requirement says that each and every accident must be analyzed, must be investigated to determine the cost of an accident. Sometimes many companies also want what cost has incurred or occurred during this incident. There are direct costs, there are indirect costs, which we have seen in other presentation of safety transformation. I am not going to repeat what are the causes, what are the cost of incidents, whether this is direct cost or indirect cost, but we can say that this is one of the reason or one of the requirement to determine the cost of accident. That is why we need to do the incident investigation. So sometimes determine the compliance with applicable regulations like Factory Act, like Environmental Pollution Control or Prevention, and there are many more regulatory requirements are there. Probably it is difficult for us to tell you now. There is one presentation what we have published to identify why legal requirements are there and which kind of legal requirements are there to identify or investigate the accident, to process the worker compensation claim, because as we know that there is a Workmen Compensation Act is there, and to identify what is the permanent, whether there is a permanent damage or there is a temporary damage, there is permanent partial damage or permanent full damage, there is a partial full damage or partial temporary damage. This is the Workmen Compensation Act requirement, and this is why there is a need for doing the incident investigation to find out the root causes for that. Guys, now the very important thing is who should be part of incident investigation. Basically, incidents are to be conducted by a group of people who has got some definite attributes. Like the person should be knowing the caution model, he should be aware of incident investigation techniques. The person or the one of the team members should be knowing the legal or organizational requirement, because he has to find out what are the legal requirements and what are the rules and regulations. And he should be part of, or he should be member of occupational health and safety fundamental situations. The person who is doing the investigation, he should be knowing the occupational health and safety management systems or safety management system or various elements of safety management system. We have seen safety management system separately in earlier presentation. Probably I will request you to please go through the separate individual safety elements. There are 15 safety elements which should be the part of safety management system, and we have published a very important elements of an entire safety management system. You can go through the safety management elements as per your convenience. I would request you to, if you have any question, any suggestion, please feel free to put into the comment section so that we can come back to you. And very important thing is, if you have not subscribed the channel so far, I will request you to please subscribe the channel so that you can get a regular update on our new publications, new videos, new updates. And the person should be knowing, I am not saying one person should be knowing, the member of the investigation should be knowing the work processes, the work procedures, persons and industry relationship, working environment. And the person should be knowing the interview techniques, because interview is one of the important vital element of doing the investigations. And the person should be doing unbiased, neutral, nodal interview so that he or she can get a concrete root causes analysis. So the person or in the group of investigation team, one person or persons should be knowing the different interview techniques to interview eyewitnesses, to interview and the victims, the interview the other related persons, their interview, maintenance person, operation people, legal persons, and many more. And the person or team member should be knowing it requirement of documents, records, and data collections. Definitely the person or the team should be knowing how to analyze the data gathered to determine findings and reach recommendations. The ultimate goal is to find out the real root causes for the incidents and to give the concrete, solid, smart, specific, measurable, achievable, reviewable, and time-bound recommendations, so that these recommendations can be implemented to ensure there is this incident does not occur in future. Guys, I hope you understand. I am going little fast because I want to give lot of information in given point of time. If you have any questions, please put in the comment section of the channel so that we can come back to you as early as possible. Typically, the members of the investigation team should include employee who is knowledgeable of the work. So one person should be knowing what work was going on and how the work is done, what are the hazards, what are the normal hazards in the work. He should be familiar with JSA. The supervisor of that working area must be part of the interview because he is in charge. He knows the psychology, he knows the working environment, he knows the person behavior, he knows what are the unsafe conditions, he knows the JSA. The supervisor must be there during the interview. Safety officer, one person from safety department must be there. He should be familiar with all safety requirements, all legal requirements, all specific rules and regulations, acts and regulations. Safety committee meeting team should be there. One person from the safety committee should represent in the investigation because he or she is knowing our safety committee requirement, and he and she should be able to demonstrate in the next safety committee meeting how the investigation was done, what were the root causes, what are the recommendations, how the recommendations are being closed. Definitely union representative must be there because the worker representative from the union should be there, because there are some legal requirements. Sometimes if there is no legal requirements, definitely someone from the worker representative should be there to ensure that worker or team points are well considered during investigation. Employees with experience in investigations. As we mentioned earlier that the person or the team should be knowing the different techniques, different steps of investigation. And of course sometimes outside expert. What is meaning of outside expert? That means those technical person who is not working in the organization, he should be hired from outside as a third person point of view or as a bird eyes point of view, because you are the expert. You may be knowing everything. Probably you are complacent. You are not able to see the risk or hazards of the incidents. So that is why we need to take the input and the technical aspect from third party investigators, representative from local government or police. Sometimes it is requirement of police, requirement of legal document, legal authorities to participate. So these are the minimum structure of investigation team depending on your requirement, law of land, police requirement, and your company philosophy. Please construct or constitute investigation committee who can do or participate in incident investigation. Guys, now we are going to see the various steps of incident investigation. How to conduct a very constructive, foolproof investigation. There should be some series of steps what we must know. The step 1 says that assess the injury, property damage or both. We will take these steps in detail how to be done in following slides. Second, obtain the medical treatment if necessary in case of injury. Then third step, interview injured employees and eyewitnesses. How the interview is done, what are the different aspects of interview, what are the do's and don'ts of interview, we will see separately. Observe accident scene and analyze the fact. This is a very important aspect because we need to secure the incident place and we need to gather the data from the incident place. We also need to take the photographs in a sequential manner so that at later stage we can do the investigation to find out the correct root cause and fact finding. File a worker compensation claim. Definitely, as per the Indian rule and as per other country rule, there is a workman compensation. So after that, we need to file a workman compensation claim or insurance. Find out the root causes. We need to find out the root causes of the incidents. Then we have to follow up the root causes, and definitely the corrective action has to be identified. And after corrective action is identified, corrective action has to be implemented to prevent reoccurrences. Guys, here we will see a loss caution system model very quickly. I will not take much time of yours. Here there is a loss, then incident, then immediate causes, basic causes, and root causes. This is the sequential process as per the caution model. So behind any loss there is the incident, and behind any incident there is the immediate causes, and behind this thing there are some basic causes, then root causes. Let us understand with this. I hope you are able to understand and see my cursor. There is a loss which is unintended harm or damage. This has happened because of an event. This is the unwanted event, means incident. The immediate causes may be substandard act or conditions that we need to identify. The basic causes may be a personal factor or job factor or system factor or organizational factor. And then we need to find out root causes. Basically, this is the management system failure. We will see how it is going to implement, how it is going to be effective in the following slides to understand, to explain you very clearly. Guys, now we need to understand what should be looked when you are doing or identifying the cause of an accident. Basically, there are various caution models are there, and we are going to see Heinrich domino theory as well as management oversight and risk tree. These are the different methods of incident investigation. We will see in the following slides very quickly so that you can clarify your doubts. If in case of any question, I will request you to please put your query in the comment section so that we can come back to you. Guys, if you see, this is the simple model which has been shown in the figure on the right below. There is a contribution of the causes from the material side. There may be causes from the environment side. There may be causes for personal side, maybe management side or task side. So we will see everything one by one, from task, from material, from environment, from personal and from management perspective, so that each point can be clarified to you, so that you understand the aspect of incident investigation and real techniques of incident investigations. I hope this slide can clarify you a lot of queries and doubts. If you have any question, please put in the comment section so that we can come back to you. Possible causes in each category must be investigated, beginning from the task, material, environment, personal and management. Remember that these are the sample questions only. There are some questions in the following slide, but these are the sample questions only. You can customize these questions depending on your company, depending on your working style, depending on your procedure, depending on your processes, depending on your working environment. No need to attempt to develop a comprehensive checklist. Question is, there are this checklist what we are going to see in the following slides. I would say that sometimes you need to check it whether this is effective or not effective. If there is not effective, then you need to probably customize it. No need to make a change of all the questions. Guys, now here in the task, we need to know the what work was being carried out or done at the time of accident. This is a first and foremost important question. Following question must be reviewed. What is the questions? Safe work procedure must be reviewed. Whether the safe working procedures have identified all the hazard, whether the work procedure has been fabricated or formulated with the help of JSA, what are the unsafe conditions, what are unsafe hazards, what are unsafe actions, substandard act, substandard condition. I am going through a little fast so that I can give you more information in the given stipulated time. Now we will say that has condition changed to make the normal operating procedure unsafe. See, there is a normal operating procedures are there, but whether there is some change in the condition, in equipment, in the change of machine, change of man, change of processes, then we have to analyze slowly where the appropriate tools and material available. So we need to identify at the time of incident whether correct tools and correct material was used. Sometimes people take a shortcut, they use manipulated tools, maybe they are using wrong tools, maybe they are using damaged tools, whether they are using the correct material, maybe they are not using the correct chemical to clean the equipment, maybe they are using the different chemicals. So that is why we need to find out where appropriate tools and material was available, and whether that materials were used, that tools were used. We need to identify what was the safety devices there, and where safety devices working as per intended requirement or as per intended design. Was lockout and tagout system was used? If in case of loss of potential energy, whether the electrical permit was used, whether permit to work system was implemented, whether the people were trained. This we will see work-wise was probably there machine, material, management. These points are in other slides. For most this question, an important follow-up question is, if not, why not? We must ask, if not this, why not? If this was, why this was? We need to keep triggering this thing with a lot of questions with if not, why not? If yes, why yes? So this will trigger the right answer while doing the investigation. These are the questions related to the machine. I will just go through very quickly. Where there an equipment failure, whether there was equipment failure, what caused to fail this equipment, what was the reason for equipment failure, was machine properly designed, whether the machine which was used to process the material, it is poorly designed or properly designed, where hazardous product involved, what was the hazardous product, what was the hazardous chemical, what was the hazardous raw material was used, where they clearly defined, was the hazardous product, hazardous chemical was properly identified, properly defined, properly identified the hazards, was a less hazardous alternative product possible and available. We need to identify if there was use of hazardous material, hazardous processes, hazardous equipment, hazardous raw material. Is there any less hazardous product, process, material is available to perform the same activity? Was raw material substandard in some way? We need to find out whether the raw material was a standard raw material or it was substandard. Because sometimes people take deviation, they use less standard material and there is a wrong processes and then there is accident. Should personal protective equipment have been used, whether they were given PPE, was there requirement of using the PPE, whether people were using the PPE, where users know how to use correct PPE and how to maintain PPE, whether the people trained about how to use and maintain the PPE. Again, each time the answer reveals an unsafe condition, the investigator must ask why the situation arises. So guys, I am going through very quickly. I am again reminding you, please, if you don't have, if you are not able to understand, please revisit this video again so that you understand this question and this query. Likewise, task, likewise material, we need to identify work environment. Following factor to be checked during the interview: the physical work environment. What was the physical work environment, like temperature, humidity, slippery, sleep and trip condition, electrical condition, and was there any sudden change to that environment? Was all of a sudden air conditioning failed to work? Was there a sudden high noise in the working environment? Was there sudden slip and trip or some chemical spill? So this we need to identify while we are doing investigation of work environment. Below important situation must be checked by interviewer. What were the weather conditions, temperature, noise, illumination? These all are physical weather condition. Where or was poor housekeeping there? We need to identify sleep and trip, slippery chemicals. There are unsafe conditions. Was it too hot or too cold? Temperature was very high or very low? Was there a noise pollution? Was there adequate lightings, illuminations? Were toxic or hazardous gas, dust or fume present? See, sometimes toxic gases can also create an accident. You never know. These all have to be checked and asked by the interviewer to identify the right root cause of an accident. Following needs to be checked during the interview. In terms of personnel, we have seen task, material, and we have seen other things. We are going to see the personal requirement. Following needs to be checked while doing the interview. The physical of those individuals directly involved. The physical condition of every individual who are directly involved in incident. Mental condition of every individual who were directly involved. Psychological environment of the working place. So purpose of the investigation, the incident is not to establish blame against someone, but the injury will not to complete unless personal characteristics or psychological factors are considered. Incident investigation is not meaning to blame someone. But until unless we ask this question, physical condition of individual, mental condition of individual, or psychological working condition, we are not able to identify right root cause of an accident. Accident investigation does not mean it is a blame game. No, we should not have a blame game while doing the investigation, or we should not understand this is a blame game. This is not a right safety culture. The right safety culture is to have a positive safety investigation. Some factors will remain essentially constant while doing the investigation, but some questions may change. These questions may be customized or should be customized depending on your requirement, depending on your processes, depending on legal requirement, depending on your working condition, depending on your safety rule, depending on your procedures. But some essential questions are there. Did worker follow the safe operating procedure? This is a standard question to be asked. Where worker experienced in the work being done, whether the person is an old person, was he trained on doing this kind of job, or this person is new, whether the induction was done. So these are typical standard questions while doing the investigation to find out the right root cause of an accident. Had they been adequately educated or trained, whether person involved are educated and trained of doing the same job where the incident happened. Can they physically do the work? So we need to identify whether this job can be done physically, or are they capable of doing this job physically. What was the status of their health when the incident happened? Was he sick? Was he comfortable? Were they tired, or they were doing overtime? They were exerted. They were having stress. Was fatigue or shift work as an issue? Was this incident happened in the night? Was their shift incident? Was they tired, or they were doing the work from more than 8 hours, more than 16 hours, more than 24 hours? But although this is legally prohibited to give overtime to prevent human stress, were they under stress? So work stress or personal stress, whether they were stressed to complete the work in given time, or they were personal stress. Was there pressure to complete the task under a deadline or to bypass any safety procedure? So these all points are very credible and important points. I would request you guys to please take a note while you are doing the investigation. So these questions are guideline only. You can customize these guidelines depending on your requirement. These are the standard questions. It will probably not change, but if you feel that there is change, please change it, update it, and use this question as per your requirement. Guys, management factor or organizational factor must be evaluated during investigation. Organizational factors are very important because management has legal responsibility to safety of the workplace, ensure the safety of workplace, ensure the safety of each individual. So we need to review following questions while investigation: the role of supervisor and higher management in this investigation on that day of investigation. Role of management system. What was the role of management system? Whether the management knows the role, and failure of management system are often found to be direct or indirect cause. Basically, if you see immediate cause, basic cause, and root cause. So ultimately, the root causes goes to the management system failure. So we need to identify all the organizational factors to evaluate the root causes, to find out the right root causes, because management has a role to identify and give the right safe working place to the worker. While doing investigation, let us go through the straightway questions. I will not deliberate it. Where safety rules and safe work practices communicated and understood by all. Every person who is working in the environment, he must be communicated the safe working procedure, and he has to understand what is the meaning of safe working procedure and what is the meaning of unsafe act, unsafe condition, and what are the various hazards in that work. Where written procedures and orientation available, whether these people were inducted and whether the written procedures are in place and whether the procedures are available in the local language, or these people understand the procedures clearly. Where the safe working procedure being enforced, or are you enforcing the safe working procedure? And this is as per company rule. There may be not a regulatory requirement, but this may be company rule. I do not know. You have to evaluate the Factory Act, environmental rule, and law of land as per your company situation, as per your company location. Was there suitable supervision? Where supervisors in place? Whether supervisor knows, whether supervisor has given the LMRA, last minute risk assessment, whether he has done the toolbox. Where worker educated and trained to do the work, whether those people who have been involved in the incident have been trained or they know how to do the work safely. Hazards and risk been properly identified and assessed, and control measures have been taken to eliminate the hazards so that hazards and risk can be minimized. Where unsafe conditions corrected, if there were some unsafe condition, whether unsafe condition corrected, was regular maintenance of equipment has been carried out. If this job involves some hand tools, some equipments, whether the proper test was done, whether the maintenance inspection was done on regular basis, and whether that equipment is in functional condition. This all we have to identify in the interview. Where regular safety inspection was done for that job, near the workplace, near the equipment. If the hazard is identified, whether the hazard has been removed, has the condition or concern been reported. If there is unsafe condition or unsafe action, whether those conditions or actions have been reported, was action taken after reporting an unsafe condition, after reporting an unsafe action, whether the safe control action measure has been taken or not. So guys, these all questions are not generic questions. These questions are applicable almost in all accidents, but you feel free to customize these questions so that you can ask a right question to right person at right place, to identify the right root causes, to identify right control measures, to implement right control measures, so our intention to prevent the incident can be achieved. So guys, as we know that there are various steps in the investigation. Collect the data of the incident, beginning from the securing the incident place, taking the photographs, and doing some collection of other data. Analyze the data in various aspects: working environment, working condition, work stress, human, man, machine, material, in all aspects. The past history, legal requirement, training data, age of people, everything has to be determined. I will not narrate the list of questions have to be analyzed, but you feel free to ask me any question in the comment section. If you want some list, I have prepared Excel sheet. I can put this Excel sheet in the description box. You can download this checklist for doing the data analysis and during investigation. Determine their findings, make recommendations. All possible causes should be considered. Making notes of idea as they occur is a good practice, but conclusions should not be made until all the data is gathered. This is very important. Don't do half fry. Do always complete cooking. Without the data, or in absence of all the data, please do not start the investigation, because this can be hazardous, this can guide you, this can misguide you. Ultimately, we cannot find out the right root causes. Physical evidences are very much important. Gather physical information and examine the site for work for quick review. Take steps to preserve the evidences and identify all witnesses. As you know that if we don't identify the physical evidences, if you don't secure the physical evidences, probably this will go very quickly. An accident site must not be disturbed without approval from appropriate government officials such as factory inspector or people. Sometimes there is a requirement site should not be disturbed, evidences should not be destroyed, this must be secured, this is legal requirement. Factory inspector is authority to tell you, you can disturb or you can upset, you can remove now site after doing the investigation. Physical evidence is probably the most non-controversial information, because physical condition is important to guide you what went wrong. It is also subject to rapid change or obliteration, because it will change very quickly. Somebody will replace it, somebody will go and take something, not intentionally but because of housekeeping, some housekeeping person will go and clean it. It should be first to be recorded based on your knowledge of the work processes. So my friends, I will like to tell you my experience that if in case of any accident, secure the incident place immediately and try to take the photographs as much as you can do. Otherwise the incident root causes can be vanished, can be removed. Physical evidences may be like this: position of injured worker. Probably the worker is not there, but you can simulate it, you can simulate how the worker was working. Equipment being used, what equipment was being used, product being used, raw material, process material, catalyst must be analyzed. Safety devices in use, any safeguard, any safeguard, any preventing safeguard, mitigating safeguard, controlling safeguard. Position of appropriate guardings, whether guards were in right place, right position, appropriate guard was there, suitable and sufficient number. Position of control of machines, what is the position of control of machinery. Damage to the equipment, what was the damage, extent of damage, how it was damaged, where it was damaged, which portion of equipment damaged. Take the photographs. Housekeeping of the area to avoid any unsafe act or unsafe condition, any unsafe condition like slip and trip and other things. Weather condition, what was the temperature, what was the noise, what was the illumination, lighting levels, noise levels, time of the day, when it happened, is it day shift, in the night shift, it is during shift. So these points must be considered while doing the investigation. And physical evidences, take the photograph before anything is moved, because if you don't take the photograph, probably you will be misguided. Study of the pictures may reveal the real condition of the incident. Sketches of the scene based on the measurement can also be useful doing investigation at the later stage. Broken equipment, debris, sample of material involved in the investigation in the incident should not be removed. It must be analyzed to identify the right root cause. Even if the photographs are taken, written notes must be put during the site visit, during the evidence check, during the securing of evidence, because these points are very important to give you clear-cut root causes. Don't scare of the legal requirement. Don't even try to demolish or remove the anything involved in the incident, because this is the legal requirement not to be tampered. So guys, having known all these questions related to man, machine, material, management and system and equipment, you can customize your question depending on your suitability, depending on your work, your working environment, your procedure, your processes, legal requirement, management expectation about your incident investigation procedure. I have casted a separate video how to do interview, who to be interviewed, what are the techniques of interview, what are the do's and don'ts of interview. I would request you to guys please see this video to understand the complete information of interview techniques. I will not take much time of yours to tell you what are the incident investigation techniques, how to do the interview. You can do it later on as per requirement. As we mentioned that we will see the investigation softwares. There are some softwares on which I am trained, I am skilled. I know Taproot, I know Celtrapoid, RCA and many other software like YY analysis, fishboard techniques. Guys, I hope this incident investigation presentation was useful for you, and let me know if you have any question in the comment section. With this guy, I would encourage you to please see other videos relevant to the incident investigation, because there are other 4 to 5 videos relevant to safety in incident investigation, which will give you complete idea so that you can do your investigation unbiased way. You can find out the right root cause, you can find out the right recommendation, you can implement right recommendation which can prevent reoccurrences of this accident. Guys, with this, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.